When things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when the funds are low and the debts are high, and you want to smile but you have to sigh, when care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but do not ever quit. Success is a failure turned inside out. Let's talk and clear the clouds of doubt.
MashaAllah, tabarakallah. Assalamu alaikum to our viewers from around the world. Welcome to a new and exciting episode of your favorite program, Let's Talk. I'm your favorite host, Malik, and of course, you're tuned into your favorite channel, Huda TV. We're having some really interesting discussion here. I'm going to change the name of the program from Let's Talk, perhaps, to Real Talk, because we have some really interesting guests and some really interesting topics, and today's no different. Today, I want to talk about who is speaking for Islam, who is qualified to be an ambassador of Islam, who is speaking for the Muslim world. All around the world, every nation on the face of the earth has ambassadors that deal with their relations with other countries. What about Muslims? Who is speaking for us? Are we speaking for ourselves? Of course, I can't answer these questions for you. We have two very prestigious guests for you. Of course, we have a real ambassador, the former ambassador of the Arab Republic of Egypt to Pakistan and to Spain, and the assistant foreign minister of the Arab Republic of Egypt, in addition to being an officer in the Arab Armed Forces, the Egypt Armed Forces from 1972 to 1976. So, of course, he was present during the Egyptian Great Victory against Israel, mashallah. So we're very pleased to have him as well. I'm talking about former Ambassador Hussein Hariri. And we're also joined by another great guest. He is an Islamic lecturer at the prestigious Al-Azhar University, of course, Dr. Mahmoud El-Dinawi, and I want to greet you both with Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Mahmoud and Ambassador Hussein. Thank you guys for being here today. And of course, I can't forget the studio audience. Thank you guys, Bismillah, mashallah, very handsome young men. Thank you guys for coming today. And before the episode's over, someone is going to sing the theme song to Let's Talk. It could be you. Do you know the song? Okay, we'll see, inshallah. Okay, gentlemen, I would like to start by talking about Dr. Mahmoud. What are the characteristics of a good ambassador of Islam?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The characteristics of a good ambassador in Islam, first of all, he should be knowledgeable, right?
Okay.
Another thing, he should have more than one language, because even in the past, if he was sent to another country, for example, he should have the basics of the language he's going to talk. And the other thing, he should have some kind of patience. The most important thing, he has to know the culture of the people whom he's going to visit or he's going to stay, for example. And he should know everything about the culture itself and about the people, about their habits, their traditions, in order to melt within the community itself, in order to be able to understand them and to do the achievements that he's looking for.
Excellent point. Thank you very much, Doctor. Ambassador Hussein, you are an actual ambassador, and from very important countries as well. Egypt, of course, is a major player, Pakistan as well as Spain. Can you talk to us a little bit about your experience as an actual ambassador?
Well, I guess, of course, I was honored to represent Egypt as its ambassador to Spain and then to Pakistan. The two countries are very close to Egypt for cultural and historical reasons. Spain, out of all European countries, has in its culture an Arab Muslim aspect. Of course, as you may know, the Arabs and Muslims were in Spain from 1711 till 1492, and they, I guess, their presence left a heritage to the Iberian culture. On the other hand, being posted in Pakistan, of course, gave me the opportunity to come to know the Pakistani people closer and deeper. And I have to admit that I have developed a great respect for the Pakistanis and for their struggle for independence and to become a regional power in South Asia. Pakistan is an Islamic power that we should be proud of. And Pakistan, let's not forget, is the only Muslim nuclear power.
I was about to mention that as well.
Yes, nuclear power. And I was invited once to a briefing about the Pakistani nuclear arsenal.
Oh, mashallah.
And how they are protected.
Right.
After the accusations, of course, the ill-founded accusations that some terrorist groups could lay their hands on the Pakistani nuclear arsenal. So I went to this briefing and with other ambassadors from Muslim countries and from Western countries. And I have to say, sir, I was really proud that a Muslim country, in this case Pakistan, has been able to manufacture nuclear
and maintain them.
And maintain them and protect them in a way that is no different from the way other nuclear powers do protect their nuclear arsenal.
Excellent point.
And I was really proud of that on the personal level and on a professional, and in the context, of course, of being that both the Pakistanis and we do belong to the Muslim world.
Excellent.
And of course, I being an Egyptian ambassador to Pakistan means, in addition, the fact that I represent the country of Al-Azhar.
Of course.
So it has made a lot of difference as far as I'm concerned, and as far as the Pakistani people who dealt with me. For them, Al-Azhar occupies a very special place, and when I arrived in Pakistan in the year 2004, I arrived at a juncture when Egypt, for one reason or another, unfortunately, withdrew for financial reasons. It's the Al-Azhar mission to the Islamic University in Islamabad.
I see.
And one of the first topics that was raised with me when I met the Pakistani officials in 2004 was the expression of the hope that Egypt would reconsider its decision and would resend its Azhar mission to the Islamic University in Islamabad. I visited, being the Egyptian ambassador, and after I had learned that we had a very large and influential Azhar mission to this university, to this one of the prestigious Islamic universities in Asia. So I went and I paid a visit to the university. It's a very large university. Many students from across the third world do go to the Islamic University in Islamabad to study, and I met a Chinese student. I met a Chinese student there, and he told me that he remembered his professors from Al-Azhar, and he wished that Al-Azhar would come back. Of course, I insisted that we should resend the Al-Azhar mission. I hope that my recommendation has been acted upon, and of course, so just I wanted to give you an idea that being an Egyptian ambassador to an Islamic country such as Pakistan, of course, makes a difference. But generally speaking, my responsibilities and my tasks as an ambassador do not vary from country to country, generally speaking. Okay. But of course, I put while in Pakistan, I put special emphasis on the fact that both Pakistan and Egypt are leading members in the organization of the Islamic Conference, that we as two Islamic powers, we have some challenges in common, and that we have to develop special and common responses to these challenges. I guess I was well heard, and I had very good relations with both the Pakistani officials and with the Pakistani people. I have to say in this context, sir, that when the Pakistani people, the man in the street, knew that I'm the Egyptian ambassador, I felt that it made a difference. It made a difference with them. So this is just to bring home to our dear viewers and our dear guests here that being an Egyptian ambassador or being the ambassador of Al-Azhar country to an Islamic country like Pakistan or any other member state in the organization of the Islamic Conference does make a difference.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Hussein, for those comments. I wanted to, Dr. Mahmoud, how does that make you feel when Ambassador Hussein is talking about the level of prestige that Al-Azhar University holds in a country, a faraway country like Pakistan? How does that make you feel?
This makes me feel proud.
Mashallah, this is your university.
Yeah, because I belong to this university, and I'm very happy to be a part of this university. Because Al-Azhar University, I would say that Al-Azhar now is working as the ambassador to the whole Muslim and non-Muslim world, because of the policy it follows, it adopts, being moderate and for example, try to teach the moral way of life itself. Right. It's not very rigid, and it's not, you know.
But in the middle.
Yeah, in the middle. And all these things. I met many people when I was in the UK from Malaysia, Indonesia, from one of my very good friends from Pakistan, and he was very happy when he heard about that I'm from Al-Azhar. He was very surprised, and he said, I love Al-Azhar, and Al-Azhar occupies an important position in our hearts.
SubhanAllah, very interesting.
So is playing a very important role, and I'm quite sure I would definitely say that Al-Azhar is the ambassador of Islam and Muslims nowadays, all over the world.
And excellent, thank you. Actually, Ambassador Hussein also touched on an interesting point. We had talked about technology with you in the previous episode, and the Ambassador Hussein had mentioned that Pakistan is the only Arab country, Islamic country, Muslim country, that has a nuclear bomb. And we were talking about how the Muslims are behind technologically. I believe they developed a nuclear bomb 10 years ago, when the Western countries did it in 1950. So even though it's a great accomplishment, we're still 50 years behind, if you look at it in that way. But mashallah, alhamdulillah, that we have, they are leading in that direction. There's no doubt about that. Dr. Mahmoud, in the time of the Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, peace be with him, did the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam send people as ambassadors to other countries? Do we have any examples from the early days?
Yeah, he sent many delegates, and we have a very vivid example, which was Mus'ab ibn Umayr radiallahu anhu. He was the first ambassador, and everybody who was sent by the Prophet, he used to send delegates to different countries of the world. But Sayyidina, the great companion Mus'ab ibn Umayr radiallahu anhu, he definitely had the job of being ambassador.
And he would send him with notifications for kings and different rulers. Excellent. So this is a tradition that we have from early times. Ambassador Hussein, what about being ambassador to Spain? Like you said, it's similar in the fact that they have some culture that's similar to the Arab culture, but it is different than Pakistan, being that it's not a Muslim country. So it's an opportunity to show Muslims as being advanced, as being organized, as being, because you're dealing with non-Muslims.
Well, King Juan Carlos of Spain has said that Spain is 1/3 Jewish, 1/3 Christian, and 1/3 Muslim. So I guess Spain, by this definition, is an example of the true meaning of Islam, that is coexistence. Between the people of the book and respect among the people of the book. And I remember visiting a church in Toledo, Tulaitela in Arabic, the seat of the Arab Muslim Empire in Spain. And this is a city that is 70 kilometers south of Madrid. And I visited this church a long time ago during the height and the glory of the Arab and Muslim presence in Spain. This church was called Santa Maria la Blanca. that is to say, the white Santa Maria, Maria the Saint.
We could say Saint.
Okay, and I learned, and I was really impressed, that in this church, Muslims used to practice the Friday prayers. Jews practiced their religion on Saturdays, and Christians did the same as far as their rites are concerned on Sundays.
So it's a very interesting
and I'm really, I said to myself when I learned that this is the true message of Islam. So being in Spain, I didn't feel that I'm a stranger.
Oh, you feel at home.
There are many similarities, and as you may know, the government of Spain has recognized Islam as official religion in Spain, and I guess this is one of the legacies of the Arab and Muslim presence in Spain. This tolerant attitude towards others. And I really, when I learned, and I used to pray to go to the Madrid Mosque. It's a very large complex.
Oh, very good.
And it was run by, and funded. It was run and funded by the Saudi government, and I felt that we are part of this society, of this country. And non-Muslims did not look at us as strangers or but part and parcel of the heritage of Spain. So I have to say that I was lucky enough to serve in both Spain and Pakistan as an Egyptian ambassador. It meant to me that being the ambassador of the country of Al-Azhar definitely means that I have an added responsibility to explain and to always to convey a message of peace, a message of coexistence, a message of truthfulness, and a message of tolerating other religions and non-Muslims in the context of mutual respect. And this brings me to the point that you've raised with Dr. Mahmoud about the diplomacy in the early days of Islam.
And before we get to that, Ambassador, I'm sorry to interrupt you. We have to stop for a short break. We're going to continue in that field. And I also wanted to get your comments about some of the Ambassador's thoughts in the next segment as well, Dr. Mahmoud. So you guys don't go anywhere. We're still here, and stay tuned.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala choose whom He wills subhanahu wa ta'ala for His mercy, for His messengership, for the revelation to be revealed. This is not for the human beings to make that decision. If a person would turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sincerely, truthfully, asking for forgiveness, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised to forgive. We have as Muslims a duty, and that is to recite the book of Allah, to ponder over the verses, the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to act according to the Quran. The mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala encompasses everything, but who would this mercy will be for? And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sent to all mankind. So the ummah, or the people of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, are all mankind since the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam till the day of judgment. Why waste our life without getting to know every verse in the Quran, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us?
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to your favorite program, Let's Talk. Dr. Mahmoud, we were talking in the last segment, Ambassador Hussein was talking about when he was an ambassador in Spain, he would pray the Friday prayer actually in a church, and he was talking about the history, the Islamic history of Spain. As we know, there's many mosques in Granada, in Toledo, and all the places. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yes. during the Prophet time, he received a delegate from Christian of an area called Najran, and it was the time for their prayer. So the Prophet gave them the chance to pray in his own mosque. The mosque of the Prophet, Christians, they performed their prayer there.
And where is Najran? Is it Arabic country?
Najran, I think it's in Yemen.
Okay.
So I'm not quite sure. Most probably it's in Yemen anyway.
Okay.
So this is the tolerance in the religions. I remember in the University of Durham, where I have been graduated from there. We used to...
Which university? I'm sorry.
Durham.
Oh, Durham, when you were in the UK.
East of UK, yes.
Excellent.
We used to pray in the place on Friday. The same thing the place on Sundays used for Christian prayers.
It was like a universal program or something.
It was called a place for worship, for Muslims, Jews and Christians. So this is the coexistence between religions, and this is the tolerance. Because Islamically, we have a Quranic verse in Surah Al-Kafirun which says, "Lakum dinukum waliya din." You have your own religion, and I have my own religion. So this is the peaceful existence that should prevail among all other religions.
SubhanAllah, we talk about human rights and this sort of things out in the UN Charter, don't we, Ambassador Hussein? But we don't know that Islam had these things many years ago.
Yeah.
The Prophet Muhammad he bring all these things. We just need to adhere and listen to them.
I would like to add something to which Dr. Mahmoud has referred to. And I had learned that Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab, when he went to Jerusalem, he refused to pray in a church. So I kept wondering why Umar ibn al-Khattab, may peace be upon him, refused to pray in a church. And later on, when I grew up, I found the answer. He refused to, and he said it when they asked him why you didn't go inside and pray in the church. His answer was the following: if I had done so, that would have maybe sent a wrong signal to Muslims that churches are open to them.
Oh, I see.
So just to add to the idea of Dr. Mahmoud, that Umar ibn al-Khattab, this is the message, that Umar ibn al-Khattab, the second caliph, made it a point to show his respect to the sanctity of churches as houses of God.
I see.
And he prayed outside of the church.
I see.
And on the spot where he prayed, a small mosque has been built in Jerusalem.
Okay.
I would like also, if you allow me, to bring up the diplomacy in early Islam. I guess Prophet Muhammad had sent emissaries of peace to the Romans and to the Persians. He did not impose on them to convert to Islam. He introduced Islam, and his message was that we are open to dealing with you, and we don't want to go to wars with you.
I see.
And as far as Egypt is concerned, if you go to the monastery of St. Catherine in Sinai, and I visited it back in 1997, Prophet Muhammad, may peace be upon him, sent to the monks, sent a letter sealed with his seal to the monks at the monastery, assuring them of their security, guaranteeing them their well-being, so that no Muslim army that would cross that part of the world, that part of Egypt, would do them any wrong. And if you go there, and I saw the letter.
Oh wow!
I saw the letter
in a museum here
in the St. Catherine Monastery in Sinai.
Oh wow! I didn't know.
And the letter by the Prophet is there as a letter of security and assurances to the monks, to the monastery.
I see.
And as a matter of fact, the Muslim army never touched the monastery.
That's an interesting fact.
So I believe this, personally speaking, I believe this is the true message of Islam.
Excellent.
Tolerance, and as Dr. Mahmoud said, you have your religion, lakum dinakum waliya deen. You have your religion and I have my religion. And so diplomacy in early Islam, the Prophet diplomacy, was that it was based on this message, this mission of peace, peaceful coexistence among the believers, whether they are Jews, Christians, or Muslims, and non-aggression among this community of the monotheistic religions.
Thank you very much. Actually, Dr. Mahmoud, were you aware of the interesting fact about the letter in the Church of St. Catherine?
Yeah.
Were you aware of that?
I think I heard about it, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that, yeah. I had known that Prophet ﷺ, he had sent many letters and things like that to other countries, but I didn't know that.
Yeah, anyway, Islam is full of these great things, and in addition to what Mr. Ambassador said, Ambassador Hussein, Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq, may Allah be pleased with him, whenever he used to send delegates for any countries, he used to say to them, over there, you will come across people. They are not Muslims, they are monks, they are rabbis, they worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in their place of worship. Don't try to hurt them. Leave them. Don't prevent them from worshipping their prayers. Leave them alone.
I see.
Right?
Yeah.
And the Prophet ﷺ also, he gave us a great example in the way of how to be ambassador. When he went to Medina, the first thing, he made a constitution with the Jews. It's called Dastur al-Medina. The clauses or the items of this constitution are marvelous. Maybe better than Geneva agreements.
And this is 1400 years ago.
He says, Jews and Muslims are one nation. Anybody who hurts Jews, we will defend them. If anybody hurts Muslims, Jews will defend. So there were a great cooperation, and they were like one community over there.
Right. I mean, it's an excellent point, Doctor, and Ambassador as well. The problem is, though, this information doesn't get out into the world. The non-Muslim world doesn't see these ambassadors of Islam and these great stories. They only see terrorists and the bad image that the media creates, in my opinion, purposely in order to harm Islam. If these really beautiful stories if people were aware of them, we would be living in a different world, subhanAllah. Studio audience, you guys, do you have any questions?
Yeah.
Go ahead, sir. Tell me where you're from, where your name is.
My name is Omar, and I'm coming from Bosnia and Herzegovina.
MashaAllah, you came from Bosnia just for Hood TV, all the way from Bosnia?
No. I study here in Egypt.
Oh, okay, excellent. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm glad that the topic is representing of Islamic interest in the world. After terroristic attacks on September 11, we are witnesses of high Islamophobia on the West and in Western medias. And one phrase is becoming very popular in Western medias, and that's Islamic terrorism.
Yeah, that's very
people are afraid of us, of Muslims on the West. And who is supposed to be the ambassador of Islam today and to explain to these people that Islam is not a religion of terrorism and violence, but a religion of peace?
Thank you very much, brother, for your question. It was such a good question. I'm not going to make you sing the theme song next time. Ambassador Hussein, would you like to tackle that question?
Yes.
And then afterwards, Dr. Mahmoud.
Yes. To begin with, I don't think we must not associate any religion with terrorism.
Okay.
For instance, back in 1995, McVeigh in Colorado put explosives in one of government federal buildings.
Oklahoma City.
Yes, in Oklahoma City, and almost 500 people perished, unfortunately, in this attempt. That does not mean that we can say that this act was a Christian terrorism. I mean, so we must not associate any religion with terrorism. And we always, when we, as an ambassador, I always objected to this
phrase, Islamic terrorism.
Islamic terrorism. That is terrorism, yes, but it has nothing to do with Islam. And we have always explained to our Western friends and to non-Muslim friends around the world that the reasons, the causes of the misunderstandings between the Muslim world and the Western world are, first of all, the Palestinian problem, secondly, the Kashmir problem,
Of course.
the crisis in Kashmir between Pakistan and India, and of course the fact that the standards of living in most Muslim countries, if not all of Muslim countries, is really very, 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 very low. And that the organizations that do resort to violence and claim that they are religiously inspired do not reflect the Islam, do not represent Islam. They are using Islam as justification, a wrong justification for their deeds. And the victims of these organizations are not only Jews or whatever the nationality of the victims, but many Muslims have fallen victims to these organizations. So, but I have to admit, having said that, we have to admit, we have to be courageous enough and transparent enough to admit that we in the Muslim world, we have a problem. We have a problem of problems of that many people, many young people who joined these organizations have a twisted point of view of Islam. And it's our fault that we haven't explained the true teachings of Islam. One example, how many of you and how many of our young people watching this program have read what we call the farewell address of Prophet Muhammad? How many of you, how many young Muslim people have read, have studied this farewell address? Whenever I read the farewell address of Prophet Muhammad, my body shudders. And on some occasions I weep because of the strong message. And I personally believe that Prophet Muhammad, may peace be upon him, has explained in Islam in a nutshell in his farewell address. You know of course that the farewell address was, you know that Prophet Muhammad made one pilgrimage, only one, okay, before he passed away. And in this pilgrimage he made his farewell address. And in case you haven't read it, I would strongly recommend that you read it and you keep it always in your pocket. And the farewell address is, I hope that all the people who joined the organizations that claim to represent Islam and they resort to terrorism, I appeal to them to read this farewell address, to know and to appreciate the meaning and the worth of the human life in Islam.
Thank you, Ambassador, for that. A very thorough and excellent response. Actually, Dr. Mahmoud, Ambassador Hussein mentioned the Oklahoma City bombing. I was in the United States, and at that time I was a small boy, and I remember when that bombing happened, and we were talking about actually before the show, and the media said, let's go find the Arab Muslim who committed these crimes. Yeah. And in the end they found a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant male. So it's really difficult, these situations. The second part of that question actually was, he said, who should speak to Islam? Who can be an ambassador to Islam?
Yeah. As I said in the very beginning, the ambassador to Islam should have some requirements, right? Like, for example, being knowledgeable, being up to date with what's going on around him, being a very good model. Like when the Prophet ﷺ, he used to choose the best people who can represent Islam because of their, maybe should be smart, intelligent, right, and manage things easily. Right. He shouldn't get for example, irritated easily by people because you might receive bad comments from some people. And Mr. Ambassador, I think, agrees with me that you use political way of dealing with people. We shouldn't, if somebody, for example, insults or say anything against me, I have to be patient with him. So if we can get some features like those that the great companions had in the past, we have now, alhamdulillah, we have a lot of people who can represent Islam very well, but always we bear in mind that we are talking to people who have bad image about Islam. As I think I mentioned this in one of the previous episodes, in the UK, when somebody, for example, is Christian, he's killing his wife. For example, they say a man killed his wife. And when it's done by a Muslim, they say a Muslim. So why should always link the crime itself to Islam? Islam doesn't recognize or doesn't adopt terrorism or doesn't adopt violence.
Of course, Of course, like in Norway, we also were speaking about that man killed 70 people recently in Norway. In Norway, I believe, and then immediately they said Islamic terrorism. Then after a while, it came to the light that he was a white English-Saxon Protestant male. Then they started talking about the tragedy, not the Islamic terrorism.
You remember, I think more than 10 years ago, when Prime Minister Ishaq Rabin of Israel, he was assassinated. They didn't say that he was killed by a Jewish terrorist.
That's an excellent point, you guys. And this is the end of the segment. Dr. Mahmoud, you're going to be with us for the next segment. You're not allowed to go anywhere, so you'll be with us right here. And Ambassador Hussein, I want to thank you very much for being here.
It was my pleasure.
And we hope to see you again in the future.
Inshallah.
Okay, thank you so much.
And thank you for your distinguished guests for listening to us.
Excellent. You guys at home, stay tuned. We have another segment. We have another guest, a special guest for you guys. So stay tuned. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back, you guys. Thank you for staying with us. We have an all-new guest. You haven't seen him on Let's Talk before. You've seen him a couple times on E-Times. MashaAllah, he's a Muslim revert from Europe. He's an IT and computer software specialist, all the way here from, originally I believe from Germany. Originally from Germany.
Born in Poland and
here in Germany.
Living in Egypt, and I was living in Germany.
MashaAllah, thank you, brother. Tahir Burian. Thank you very much for being with us, Aisha.
Thank you very much, Brother Malik.
Excellent. And Dr. Mahmoud, thank you for staying with us in the last segment as well. And you guys, the studio audience, you guys are still here. We appreciate it. Do you have any questions?
Actually, a comment.
Go ahead, brothers. Please share.
My name is Bilal. I'm from England.
Okay, you're Bilal from England. Excellent.
I would like to say that as Muslim ambassadors and inheritors of this religion, we should always show the people how righteous we are, how good we are, how virtuous we are. Because how many people embraced Islam just looking at the character of the Prophet ﷺ and his companions. And we should always be good, because the people will look at our action, and if our action is not good, that we think that will affect the whole of Islam.
Right.
So every single Muslim is an ambassador, and all the action has big consequences.
Excellent point. Thank you, Bilal, from England. I appreciate it. Actually, Dr. Mahmoud, I always felt that way as well. I know that you lived in the UK for a while. How important is it, even if a man isn't a scholar, that he has a good character and to be righteous, because non-Muslims are looking at him?
Yeah. Of course, as every Muslim, in every place, in every field, in every career, he's ambassador to Islam by the way he behaves. So if you behave nicely, you will have many people who are going to follow you. And Islam spread in different countries of the world. Like, for example, I never heard that there were ambassadors who were sent to Malaysia or Indonesia, for example. But Islam went there by the behavior of some honest and the great traders. So people over there, they mixed and mingled with those traders, and they asked them about their religion. They said Islam. When they found those people are reliable, trustworthy, honest, they followed them. So anywhere you go, you travel, you work, you study as you are a scholar, for example, by your behavior, by your deeds, by your manners, by your character. If you follow the Prophet ﷺ example, and if you follow the companions, right, then definitely you are going to be followed by many people. But if somebody, for example, he's not a good example, he will never be followed by anybody else.
Exactly. Like, unfortunately, I would venture to say 75% of the liquor stores in America are owned by Muslims from, and I'm going to say it, Yemen and Palestine. And I only say it to embarrass them, to make them stop doing it.
Yeah.
Because what kind of ambassador are they? What kind of dawah is this? Brother Tahir, what is your opinion? I mean, you live in Germany as a non-Muslim.
Yeah.
Did you find people that were great ambassadors that called you to Islam, or not really?
Actually, as non-Muslim, I don't remember that there were like big people what are like ambassadors. But okay, I had a good friend. He was like what Dr. Mahmoud said now. He was like representing Islam in his actions,
not his words.
Yes, this was the step what makes me think about Islam.
Right.
And what I remembered a story what I heard not long time ago. It's like there was someone, I don't know, a sheikh or someone. They told him to speak about freeing slaves. It was a long time ago. They told him, please speak about freeing slave. So in the first khutbah, he didn't mention this point at all. In the second khutbah, he didn't mention it. In the third khutbah, he started to speak about this point and let's do these actions and so on. So someone asked him, why didn't you speak 3 weeks about this issue, and after 3 weeks you started to speak about this?
Right.
So he said, because first I had to buy a slave. It was 1,000 years ago.
Yeah, right.
I had to buy a slave and then free him.
Right.
I did this action, and then I can speak about this issue.
Right.
So and then maybe the people will start to believe me and that I'm honest. Yeah.
Exactly.
So the actions and the deeds of Muslims are very, very important.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you. But Dr. Mahmoud, you've heard the expression actions speak louder than words.
Yes, sure.
Because I think this is religiously compatible with Islam, wouldn't we say?
Yeah.
Because many times we see people preaching, and people are so used to people preaching at them, talking to them. But I think it's rare when you find somebody who's an upright example. Do we have any examples from the time of the Sahaba when they went places and people embraced Islam because of their character? You had talked about Malaysia, which is a phenomenal case as well.
Sure, I'll tell you about. I don't know its current name, but it's in the past. It's called Samarkand, right?
Yeah, this is like in Central Asia.
Yes.
Yeah, Samarkand. Yeah.
Anyway, it was during one of the rulers or caliphs of Muslim. He sent some people like ambassadors to this area, and the people there, they did their best not to hurt anybody, not to cause any bloodshed at all. They used all devices and all tricks and all these things, and then suddenly they have been in this area, and people were very surprised for many things. First of all, they were very surprised by the behavior of the people. The behavior was excellent, and they were very happy. The only thing that they didn't like, that those people appeared in front of them suddenly. They sent to the ruler. They said to him, okay, what does your religion say? He said, our religion says that if you are going to any country to preach Islam, you should let the people know a few days before you arrive. They said to him, okay, your people, Muslims, came to our country, they didn't give us any notice, they didn't give us any warning.
Right.
He said to them, did they hurt you? They said, no, they were excellent, but we are not happy with the way they came.
Right.
And then Muslims, they decided to leave automatically. The people of the area, people of Samarkand, they thought about the behavior, the practical side of those people. They were excellent, they were honest, they were reliable, they were. The whole area became Muslim. Because of what?
Yeah.
Because of the behavior of the people themselves. So before you preach, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, كَبُرَ مَقْتًا عِنْدَ اللَّهِ أَن تَقُولُوا مَا لَا تَفْعَلُونَ. Right? He said it's a major sin, it's something great when you preach something but you don't practice it yourself. The Prophet, this is our great example, before he's doing everything, he used to start with his family. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him, you have to start with your family. Whenever there was a fighting, a battle, he used to start with his relatives, like Imam Ali radiallahu anhu, like Ja'far ibn Abi Talib, like Hamza died as a martyr, Ja'far ibn Abi Talib died as a martyr, and many of his. So people, they found the example in front of them. Prophet Muhammad started as one great person alone.
He was the ambassador of Islam.
He was alone from the very beginning. In the farewell pilgrimage, historians said that there were around 100,000 people in just 23 years.
Yeah, that's an amazing historical fact. Thank you for sharing that, Dr. Mahmoud. When you think about it, he started it by himself.
Yes.
And now in 23 years, subhanAllah, the character of one man. Brother Tawfiq, after you embraced Islam, you were in Germany?
Yes.
And you stayed there for many years?
Yeah, about 8 years or something.
Did you feel during that 8 years that you were an ambassador to Islam and you took care about your behavior and your...
Yes, I think so, yes. A small ambassador.
Yeah, but still an ambassador.
To my neighborhood, in work, to my family. So I was like, let's say, representing Islam in a small environment. Yeah. And actually, as the doctor said, it's the behaviors are most important. I remember one small issue when I was in work. For example, I learned that if you eat something, you have to propose, to offer to your employee, to your colleague or something like this.
We don't do that as Westerners. I learned that later also. We don't do that as Westerners.
Yeah, we don't do it.
We eat it ourselves and go away. Let me eat my lunch.
This is special European behavior. Yeah. So, but I learned it from Islam and I tried to apply it. And actually, my colleagues in work, I was a student and working in a company. So they were like surprised. And they said, somebody came to me after I did it a few times. He came to me and said, "Are you in any Christian organization?" In any Christian organization, he told me.
Yeah.
I said, "No, I'm a Muslim." Oh, I said, "Oh, you're a Muslim."
Right,
he was very surprised.
Oh, mashallah.
Yeah. And subhanallah, but his reaction after one day, he came with a newspaper and written anything about terrorism and Muslims and so on. This was his reaction. But his first reaction was like, "Are you in any Christian community or something like this?" Yeah.
But in Germany, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. In Germany, you're also suffering from media.
Yeah, sure.
Bad media who's showing the wrong ambassadors to Islam.
I think in the whole world now that...
we're suffering,
Yeah, we are suffering about the media and so on.
Exactly. Dr. Mahmoud, when you were in the UK, you studied at the University of Durham. Yeah. Did you feel during that time that people were looking at you and you want to be an even better example?
Yeah. I don't want to talk about myself, but alhamdulillah, I did my best to show a good example to those people by my own behavior. You might be surprised to know that I have very good friends there who were policemen. Yeah, I remember one who was called Mike, I think. He used to phone me, and because what I did there, I used to deliver speeches and to tell people about that Islam is the religion of tolerance, that we respect all our other religions, we respect people because they are human beings, and so on. Back to the story that Tahir said. This is the difference between Islam and... one day I've been to some family, they were eating, and suddenly they didn't invite, even just by word. But they said to me, "Oh, you may leave now." Islamically, Islam says the one who believes in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the last day, he should be generous to his guest, right? I heard some people in the UK, they say, "Oh, if you want to eat 3 days free, you want to spend 3 nights free, go to an Arab country."
MashaAllah, that's because a great compliment.
They offer these things. I said, no, this is our hospitality, this is our religion tells us. And here, even by this way, you can be a very good ambassador to the people themselves.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. Actually, Doctor, I suffer from this as well. I still, when I eat, I get hungry. I don't offer to share the food, although I see my Muslim colleagues always offering me food and sharing their food with me as well. Do we have any questions from the Saudi audience?
Yes, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam, brother. Where are you from?
My name is Ahmed and I'm from Egypt.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. You were saying?
I just want to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be in just a place and sitting with these very respected people. I want to say that it's the rule of being an ambassador. It is just for special persons like those who preach for Islam, dua or scholars, or it's a rule of all Muslims. And what is the characteristics? And I repeat this point again because it's a very important point. What in a very short notes from our scholar here in the studio, I want to know short notes about the characteristics of being a good model and a good ambassador for Islam.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. Dr. Mahmoud, would you like to tackle that question?
Okay. Thanks for the question. Is very interesting and very important nowadays because we have to ask who should take the role of preaching or being ambassador of Islam in a way. The characteristics of the ambassador to Islam in short words, he should be, first of all, knows very well what's going on around him, knows the language, of the people. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا مِن رَسُولٍ إِلَّا بِلِسَانِ قَوْمِهِ. Right? So you have to, if somebody is going to UK, for example, or America, he doesn't know English.
Not effective.
He's going to do nothing.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
No, first of all. And he needs to know the culture. Because, for example, I think I remember one of the stories in our history. Sayyidina Khalid ibn Walid radiallahu anhu, one day he was in one of the countries, right? In Arabic, the word says, Daffu asrakum, means bring warmth, make your captives warm, because the atmosphere was very cold. In the language of the people themselves, this expression means kill them, get rid of them. So Sayyidina Khalid, he just told them, you have to bring warmth, make them feel warm.
Right.
In their language, means kill them. So they killed them. Right? After a while, Sayyidina Khalid found out that he should have realized, or he should have learned the language of those people. Right?
Yeah, of course.
And because some people now understand that the one who preaches Islam is away from back to technology.
Right.
No, he should be cope with all technologies, with all developments in a way. And again, the best thing that he should always have the manners of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to him, وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. Indeed, you have the best manners, you have the best character. So if you have such manners, right, you will, I'm sure, inshallah, by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will succeed in your job.
Thank you, Dr. Markouf, for that very thorough response.
Excuse me.
Oh, go ahead.
So it's not the rule of just the dua or the scholars of...
No, everyone of us, every Muslim is working as ambassador. Every Muslim is informing about the message of Islam by his way, by his behaviors, by his manners, by being good to his neighbors, by being honest in your work. Right? So you should always bear these in mind. If you carry the message of Islam, you are working as ambassador, regardless whether you are a preacher, sheikh, imam.
The responsibility of every Muslim, subhanAllah.
But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Doctor, will record us as it is an obligatory or just a thing for a choice?
Everyone as the hadith says, بَلِّغُ عَنِّي وَلَوْ آيَةً. Everyone is encouraged deeply by Islam and by the Prophet to bear the task or the mission of message. But if there are those, because the issue, if we say this now, everybody will say, okay, the Hura TV is talking that every Muslim is an ambassador, and he might make a great damage to the Islamic religion. The person who is taking this task should be knowledgeable, should be able to convey the message in a good language, and again, he has to have the manners of the Prophet ﷺ.
Thank you, Dr. Brother Ahmed, does that answer your question?
So I want to say that every Muslim must prepare himself and start to learn and do what he can do to be a good ambassador for Islam, from gaining knowledge and being a good character and such a thing.
Of course, thank you so much, Brother Ahmed. Now, these are very difficult, tough questions. You should have called Ask Huda, Brother Ahmed. Before I let you go, can you sing the theme song for that talk?
I don't have the ability to
next time.
Inshallah.
All right, thank you. I'm just teasing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Brother Taha, I wanted to ask you as well. We just have a couple more minutes before the episode's over. But your time in Germany, as we said, you were an ambassador to Islam. Did anybody come to Islam as a result of your behavior? And if you say no, it's okay, because no one.
No problem. Yeah, actually, when I embraced Islam, I started to read, and I was very interested in Islam, and read some books, and it became so clear. It became so clear for me. I thought, and subhanallah, I didn't know this before, and all the people, they don't know this knowledge, they don't have this knowledge about Islam.
Right.
So when I informed them, and they should become Muslims, because this is the truth, and it's so clear.
Yeah.
So I was disappointed after this, because I started to speak with the people, and I started to speak with the colleagues, with my neighbors, with my friends, so-called friends from the teenager time, from the old days. But I remarked that they went far away from me, and they didn't listen to. They were not so interested in this. And they said, okay, maybe it's true what you are saying, but I have my life, and so I was disappointed that nobody embraced Islam because of this true religion. They listened to this true religion and this arguments. I had arguments from the Bible. I read the books about the Bible. I gave them arguments from the Bible, from logic arguments, logic argumentation, and so on. But قدر الله ما شاء فعل.
That's right. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I've had the same experience myself, so don't worry about it. We have to end the episode. I want to thank you, Brother Tawfiq, for being with us, and I want
Thank you very much.
to get you back on another episode of Let's Talk, inshallah. Dr. Mahmoud, thank you very much for staying with us, and I always appreciate it. And it's always wonderful to have you here, inshallah. And you guys in the studio audience, assalamu alaikum very much. Thank you very much. Jazakallah khairan. We look forward to seeing you again next time. And next time you guys are going to have to sing the song of Let's Talk. And you guys at home, before we go anywhere, I want to remind you about our email, talk@huda.tv. That's talk@huda.tv. I open the inbox. I have 2 emails. Come on, you guys. Where are you guys? Where's our viewers in Nigeria, in Juzar Qamar, in Djibouti? Where are you guys? Send me an email. Tell me if you like the guest, you like the topics, you like the host. Tell me everything you want in the email. I'll respond to it, inshallah, personally. We do have one email, Brother Omar from Nigeria. He says, MashaAllah, tabarakallah, thank you, brother, for your good work. Keep it up. And we want to tell Omar from Nigeria, thank you very much, brother. Wa jazakum and alaikum salam, and keep the feedback coming. And so until next time, we leave you in the care of Allah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
When things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when the funds are low and the debts are high, and you want to smile but you have to sigh, when care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but do not ever quit. Success is a failure turned inside out. Let's talk and clear the clouds of doubt. Success is a failure turned inside out. Let's talk and